so much for joining our Date with Data session today. I'm Carol Gillard, VP of Marketing for Unruly US, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our first official Unruly Campus event. We created Unruly Campus so that we could provide our partners like you with uncomplicated information to simplify the world of OTT and CTV programmatic. And so I'm so excited today to be talking about data. We have great subject matter experts, Jess La Rosa, who's the VP of Partnerships and Data Operations for our parent company, Tremor International, and Denis Oštir from VIDAA, which is a powerful operating system for smart TVs, and actually one of the only operating system that grew its market share in 2021. So they're going to walk you through a whole slew of information of everything from the role an operating system plays in an OEM to TV viewership data, definitely inclusive of ACR. Just a quick housekeeping thing before I turn it over to them. If you have any questions, please drop it in the Q&A section at the bottom. Jess and Denis will be answering any questions you might have at the end. So keep them coming. But now I'll stop yapping and turn it over to Denis.
Hello, everyone. Great to meet you. Thank you for the introduction. It says, my name is Denis, last name Oštir. I come from Slovenia and I work for a company called VIDAA. VIDAA is a Hisense owned company, an operating system that runs on Hisense smart TVs, mostly outside of the US, but coming to the US around the corner very soon. I'll be walking you through a brief presentation about the operating system itself. How is it done? What are the advantages that we offer to our customers? What is the philosophy behind it? A little bit about the numbers of distribution. Then later on, we're going to do a live walkthrough of the current operating system in the US called VIDAA 5, just to prove you and to show you that we're actually doing what we're claiming we're doing. It's going to give you a better understanding of how the operating system operates and how are we getting people to engage with content, and in order to get them to consume more content on a connected or smart TV, as it's being called. A little bit about the VIDAA, a little bit about our company. We are an independent company, even though we are part of Hisense. Our majority shareholder is Hisense. There has been some announcement recently about a new shareholder entering our company. And we are the primary TV operating system for Hisense and Toshiba devices outside of the US. In the US, we're going to be introducing the VIDAA OS as we speak right now, reintroducing, let me put it this way. The current version is U5 or U6, depending on the market. The platform was established in 2014, which means that we do have some legs. We do have a lot of experience with creating an operating system. This year is going to be 10 years since we started developing it, and we put it to the market in 2014. In 2019, we spun it out as a separate company, understanding very well that the future is going to be about the platform, not about the hardware itself. That is the reason where we're also offering the operating system to third parties as well. We currently have, apart from Hisense, 9 additional factories in China offering the operating system to pretty much any brand that wants to use it. We have a lot of active devices. Currently, 15 million devices are connected every single day. But we anticipate that number to grow in the next 4 years to 75 million devices. Those devices are currently generating quite a lot of traffic, about 910 million sessions every single month, and more than 1.1 billion hours of streaming. You have to understand one thing is these devices are across the globe. And in a lot of markets, standard TV viewership, I would not say in a lot of markets, I would say in most markets with the exception of the US, standard TV viewership still represents a tremendous portion of viewing, mostly because people have an amazing experience. With digital TV and support for HGTV, consuming a linear channel is exceptionally good for end consumers. So considering that 1.1 billion hours of streaming is a very, very high number. Look at the operating system on the right hand side. You can see how it looks like. You're going to see it later on as well when we do the live demo. The operating system is continuously optimized. We are extremely focused on making sure that the TV, when it stays on the wall, performs very, very well. And it's a very, very difficult task. Unlike mobile phones, TVs usually have a lifespan of about 6+3, which means they spend 6 years as a primary device on the living room wall, and then they spend an additional 3 years as a secondary device, somewhere in the room, kids' room, guest bedroom, or even outside on the porch more and more. The user interface is extremely content-centric. We are very strong in not promoting applications, but promoting content inside of those apps, because we are seeing, excuse me, we are admitting the mistakes that, that connected TV platforms might have done in the past, where everybody was thinking of a connected TV as simply as as a bigger and a sideways smartphone. This is not the case. People are considering a TV as a laid-back experience. They want to consume content. They want to deal with apps, and the growth of more and more applications hasn't changed their usage. They're still using the same amount of applications, mostly because they don't have an easy access to the content library, aside from just clicking on the application icon. We're trying to change that. Another thing that we are introducing is universal search. With metadata integrations from various content partners, we allow for a deeper integration of search. So you're able to search, for example, for James Bond, and you get the results from across all applications and get easy access for it. And that also means that we are trying to create, and we are creating, a very, very seamless and intuitive user experience and a user interface, which are also helped by data that we're gathering from ACR, which is going to be explained later on. Advanced usage analytics is not purely for advertising, but it's also for creating a better user experience, which at the end of the day drives engagement, which at the end of the day drives the potential to generate revenues for us. What are the largest markets for us? You can see them listed on the left-hand side. We're starting off with Argentina. US, we have a very, very large base of legacy devices in the US as well. Even though we haven't been selling in the US since 2018, we are reintroducing the platform this year, and next year is going to be a tremendous year for us with significant growth. Other markets, Mexico, Australia. In those markets, we are number 2 in Mexico and number 1 in Australia, the Philippines, India, EU5. In all of the European markets, if you were to buy a TV today that is branded Hisense, 100% chance is going to be VIDAA. We don't use other operating systems. In the US, you might get Android or Roku, but outside of the US, it's all VIDAA. And we're extremely strong in South Africa as well, the number 1 brand with a significant, like 37% market share. And those are the growth markets. Sales forecast this year, we're going to increase the footprint by about 12 million devices, which is 12 million connected TVs across the world. And next year, the growth is going to be even more significant with 17 million devices. As I've said, we are offering the OS to third-party OEMs as well, and that's where a lot of the growth is happening. Globally, for your understanding, there's about 44% of the global market is third-party OEMs, store brands or, brands that have a very, very small footprint, but they represent altogether 43% of the market. And those guys currently are looking for a licensed operating system with all the applications that we are offering to them. And they see the benefit that VIDAA can bring to the table, and they're taking it up at scale. Apart from customizing it for the end consumer, you also customize it market by market. So in every single market, you're going to have applications that are relevant for that market. Again, in the US, you would be seeing, Tubi, Pluto, Paramount Plus, Peacock, of course, Disney, Apple TV Plus, and so on. But then, for example, in South Africa, where the most important applications are DSTV and Showmax, you'd see those. And if you go, for example, to Spain, you're going to see the Spanish application. So we do it market by market. We also brand it market by market. We also, do promotions market by market. We try to make the experience as relevant as possible for the end consumer, depending on the market that he's in. And we are really, really fragmented in that. We do 180 different programming tables, we call them, with 180 different options of promoting applications and content in those markets. We got a dedicated team that does that specifically. In terms of applications, this is interesting. As if you remember in the beginning, I told you that it doesn't matter how many apps you have. People, if you don't recommend content the right way inside of those applications, they're going to be accessing the same 4 applications all the time. So we do have integration of about 350 applications, which are done deeper. This means searchability, recommendation capability, and so on. And we have about 1,000 apps in the application store. Now, those apps are usually tier 2, tier 3, and they're intended, if somebody's looking for a niche app. Most of the consumption is being done on tier 1 applications. And for your understanding, there are not many markets where it takes more than 5 apps to reach 99% of all usage. What we are doing is we're trying to change that by implementing the searchability recommendations, trying to get people to understand what is the content that is inside of those applications, trying to get them to use more. And we are very successful. There are a few markets. One typical example is, it might not be popular right now, but it's Russia. In Russia, by implementing this system of doing quality recommendations, trying to get more and more content recommended, allowed us to increase the average number of applications that people use from 4 up to 9, just by getting these integrations done. And we're seeing the same results in other markets. It is a much more labor-intensive task to get these applications integrated in a way with metadata, but it's definitely worth it because people see the benefit of accessing content directly. Everything that I've described before is allowing us to reach this slide, and that is that last year, this is GfK data, we were the only operating system in the market that grew its market share, and we grew it significantly. So we grew by 67% 2020 compared to 2021. Even though globally the market shrunk a little bit, you can imagine why. 2020 was a huge year for connected TVs just because of COVID. People were at home and they were sizing up, and they were replacing their tech because they spent more time at home, also more time on applications on entertainment at home, and everybody else declined a little bit. We were the only ones that grew its market share by 67%. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, but your market share is small. It's not. We had a market share of approximately 4.6%. In 2020, and now we grew by 67. So we have a significant footprint. It's mostly a result of the quality of the product that we've got. I'll end this presentation just with a brief overview of the ratings. We are very, very cautious in following also what the customers think. We have a very comprehensive system of following all reviews of all purchases on all online platforms. In Europe, where the platform is the most popular, the average rating of our previous generation was 4.27, the one you see on the bottom, and the current version is rated at 4.42 out of 5, which is the highest among platforms. So it's a very, very high grade. People love it for its speed, reliability, the application offering, also at the same time the content offering, and so on. And as you can see, the professional reviewers are saying the same thing as well. They love the fact that the platform is stable, that the platform is fast, that it's clean, and it also allows recommendations to be done so customers are able to discover new content on the platform. I'll stop sharing the screen right now. When I flip it around to my other camera, this camera shows my TV. This is the VIDAA operating system. I'm going to be doing a demo on the UK user interface for your understanding. As I've said, the OS itself is extremely fast. It is extremely responsive. It takes less than 2 seconds to power on the TV and to be able to access the content. And as I've said, the key is about content recommendations. So you're used to probably seeing on all the platforms, if you highlight the Netflix application, you're going to get Netflix recommendations up here on the top, which are usually done custom. Now, what we have done is we've actually expanded that cooperation to pretty much every key partner on our platform. So if you were to highlight the iPlayer application for the BBC, you're going to get recommendations from them. You do it for ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, YouTube, even Pluto TV. So with all of these, the recommendations are, are direct linked. So if I click on any of these, for example, I don't know, let me try the Craze. I'm going to click on it. It's going to open up the application, and it's going to go immediately into the app itself, and it's going to go to that particular piece of content, as you can see here. So what are we trying to achieve here, and what are we achieving here is very simply is like, we want people to understand there is amazing content on the platform. It doesn't have to be knowing the application. We just try to recommend it this way. By showcasing it. And we do it with the majority of players. I can show you if I were to take, for example, Disney, the Disney Plus application, I move it into the top row. You're going to see when I highlight the Disney Plus application, you're going to see Disney content being recommended there. And again, we do it with applications that do advertising supported content, or we do it with apps that do it subscription based. That's the first thing that we do. The second thing, if you go below the fold, we have a lot of recommendation rows coming in. These, for example, and by the way, this is all done specifically market by market. So what you're looking at here is the UK user interface, and the UK user interface would be done with the UK content, right? So what you're seeing here is recommendations from the BBC, from Channel 4, Channel 5, and so on. We're trying to show people how easy it is to access content that is hidden potentially from their view, right? And if we go below the fold, you're going to see content from Pluto, you're going to see content from Disney Plus. More Pluto content. There's stuff coming in from Prime TV, Prime Video, even from Plex, which is an advertising supported service, and so on. Our goal is very simply is like we're trying to get people to use more and more applications, especially content that is advertising supported, because there is plenty of it, but people just don't know that it's there. For example, I'm highlighting Toon Goggles right now. Toon Goggles is an amazing application with kids content. People mostly don't know it, but everybody knows Winx. Everybody knows Transformers. Everybody might know Ricky Zoom. So what we're trying to do here is exposing this content, getting it easy to access. So if I click on it, you're going to see it goes inside of the applications, opens it up for the end consumer, and they're able to watch it immediately, right? And of course, this being advertising supported, you're going to get an ad to play in front of the show. So for us, this is the goal. The goal is to get the more and more content out there. Now, for advertising supported content, we've actually gone one step further. What we have done is we have created a service called VIDAA Free. I'll go up here and I'll show you in the user interface. There's an icon that says VIDAA Free. It can also be accessed by a remote control button. There's a button on the remote that says free. And if I click on it, this is a catalog, a general catalog of all the content available on our platform that is for free. That doesn't cost anything, that can be accessed for advertising support. Also done market by market. And as you can see here, we're trying to expose content that might be hidden behind a paywall, not paywall, I mean, behind the wall of an application that people might not be familiar with, but they have an easier way of accessing it this way. As I've said, Toon Goggles, for example, there's some Pluto TV content here as well. There's even Red Bull content, one of my favorite apps, by the way. There's amazing content hidden there, but people just don't know how it works. But some people might like rally, people might like free running. Or by this way, we are giving them access to content that otherwise they would not know exists on the platform. Thus, creating more engagement, creating more inventory, and the possibility to connect with content. We do it market by market, so in every single market it's going to be done differently. Very soon we're going to be launching a separate product called VIDAA TV, and that product is going to go one step beyond, and it's also integrating the linear channels the same way, the linear channels in which we also have the capability to serve ads, and that is coming to us very soon. What I would like to point out here is we are using a lot of data that we are gathering from ACR and all the data that we're gathering from usage data to make the user experience the best possible, because the better recommendation that we have for the end consumer, the more likely they are to engage. And with this, I will hand it over to Jessica to explain what is it that we are collecting, how is it that we are collecting, and also how the team at Unruly is helping us get this data to make the platform experience as best as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Denis. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So as Carol had mentioned, my name is Jessica La Rosa, and I manage partnerships and data operations at Tremor International, supporting both Tremor Video DSP and Unruly business units. Oh, okay. Hold on, let me fix my share for one sec. Okay. So I'm going to kick it off just by walking you through just the high level details of Tremor International's partnership with VIDAA, and then we'll spend the rest of the time focusing on the ACR data collection and how we can make that available to our advertisers. So again, today, the session is focused around the exclusive ACR data that we're able to get through TVs installed with the VIDAA operating system, but Tremor International does have an overarching larger core partnership with VIDAA that is comprised both of media and data. So on the media side, VIDAA has selected Unruly as its strategic supply side platform, and it has also integrated our ad server SpearAd to perform its ad serving capabilities to also help with synergies between the ACR data and the media opportunities within the VIDAA operating system. So the media aspect of the partnership provides our advertisers preferred access to inventory within apps in the VIDAA OS. So we're offering in-app video inventory as well as native display ad formats across the VIDAA operating system, both in the US and globally. And then from a data perspective, we have exclusive access to ACR data collected from smart TVs with the VIDAA operating system installed. So we will be extracting this data and then actually bringing it into our existing TV intelligence solution, which has both a TV retargeting and a measurement component. So both aspects, both media and data, really create a powerful synergy for our advertisers to be able to take advantage of not only the great consumer experience within the VIDAA operating system from a media and inventory perspective, but also the exclusive TV viewership data that we're able to capture. So now we'll pivot to talking about ACR data in more detail. And I'll sort of take a step back and kind of talk you through the landscape of the TV viewership ecosystem. So here on this slide, we're looking at the trends of pay TV households versus non-pay TV households in the US over the past 5 years and into the next 3 years. So just to level set, when we say pay versus non-pay, pay TV just means a US household that still pays for a traditional cable subscription. So that's something like a Charter, a Comcast, a DirecTV, an Altice, a Frontier, Verizon Fios. These people are subscribing to cable, and that's really how they're accessing linear television content is primarily through that cable subscription. On the other hand, non-pay TV households are also, I think, commonly referred to as cord cutters. Those are households that no longer or have potentially never actually paid for a traditional cable subscription. So they are accessing content over the top or OTT, which is enabled either through a streaming device, an HDMI, or some type of streaming service, something like a Netflix, a Hulu, or something perhaps like a YouTube TV that would give them some access to live TV as well. But again, they're not accessing that through your traditional cable subscription. And really the key takeaway here, right, is twofold. One, we can see the numbers. So the number of US households that are paying for TV, these more traditional households paying for cable subscriptions, are on the decline. And then the non-pay TV households are on the rise. And this is important because ACR data, which we'll talk about in more detail in a few minutes, is really the only way that you can capture holistic viewership from these non-pay TV households. So today, set-top box data, which is data from MVPDs or cable companies, does remain, a pretty prominent part of the TV viewership landscape, and it is relatively scalable, but it is limited to these households that pay for their cable subscriptions, and it's also limited to collecting linear TV viewership. So the ACR data and why we're partnering with VIDAA in this way allows us to get into both pay TV and non-pay TV households and then capture viewership that happens both on linear and then also on these streaming platforms. So this will become more and more important as we start to see more households drop their traditional cable subscriptions. This slide is just talking about sort of the landscape of the connected TV marketplace. So both the number of users that are accessing streaming services to watch content, as well as the penetration of smart TVs globally. So you can see here, right, the general trend is the number of streaming users is on the rise. The growth in smart TV households is on the rise. And we're at about a 75% penetration rate in North America for households that own at least one smart TV. So we've really sort of reached the point where people are using connected TVs, smart TVs falling under that category, as the primary way to consume content. And so what this partnership offers to our advertisers in turn, right, is a way to access both the data, the ACR viewership data that's coming from these TVs, as well as from a media and inventory perspective to serve them ads while they're consuming this content. So now we'll sort of take a little bit of a step back and kind of talk through what exactly ACR data is, and then more of the specifics around our partnership with VIDAA as it relates to the ACR data. So as I had mentioned, there are a couple different sort of main sources of TV viewership data in today's landscape. The first is more traditional panel-based data. So think of something like a Nielsen or a ComScore, using a small subset of the population, looking at their viewership habits, and then creating a model to extrapolate that against a larger population base. The second is set-top box data. That's data, right, that's collected through the set-top box of an MVPD or a cable provider. And then the third most prevalent form of TV data in the marketplace is ACR, which stands for automatic or automated content recognition. And really, this is just a technology that is built into smart TVs to be able to identify the type of content that is playing on the TV. Because this is a piece of technology integrated into the smart TV itself, it's not dependent on anything exterior like a set-top box in order to get the viewership data. So it really doesn't matter if the person is accessing content right through some type of cable subscription, a streaming service, what have you, because the ACR is typically what we call at the glass level or the screen level of the TV. It's able to capture any signal coming out of that television. The way that this is done is something called a fingerprint or fingerprinting technology. And really all that is a way to capture small snippets of metadata that are coming through the television. Typically that's done in one of two ways. One is a video fingerprint. So think of that as just a small piece of metadata that is image-based, so based on the image coming through the screen. And the second is an audio fingerprint, and that's really just a small acoustic fingerprint or piece of metadata of the sound that is coming through the screen. So either that image or that acoustic fingerprint is then matched against a larger catalog or library of content and ads. They're matched together to be able to identify what type of content, right, what show, what network, or what ad was actually played through the TV at a given time. So we really need both of the components, the fingerprinting technology, along with the library of ads and content to be able to sort of make the match and understand what played through the TV. And then from a sort of landscape perspective, you can see here a couple different examples of ACR enabled smart TV OEMs. So there are players like LG and Vizio who actually have their own ACR technology, as well as the fact that they manufacture the TVs. And then there are players like a Hisense, a Sharp, a Toshiba that will partner with other companies like VIDAA and Tremor International to help power ACR technology on their televisions. So from a perspective of Tremor and VIDAA working together, this is a global partnership, but for purposes of today, we'll talk only about the US. So we have exclusive access to ACR data from Hisense smart TVs that are using the Android and VIDAA operating system in the US, and then any OEM that is using the VIDAA operating system internationally. We will make this ACR data available to our advertisers, both for targeting and measurement as part of our existing TV intelligence solution. And it will support coverage of linear and streaming content and ads. So again, just going into a little bit more detail, this is an exclusive partnership. So the only way that an advertiser can gain access to this data is either through Tremor Video on the buy side or Unruly on the supply side. And we have built a proprietary SDK, which I'll talk about in a second, to capture those fingerprints from the television, as well as a proprietary end-to-end ACR system. And really the reason why this matters, right, for our clients goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. ACR data is really the only way to capture these households that have cut or have never had these traditional cable subscriptions. And it's the only way to capture the viewership that is happening in a streaming, non-cable supported environment. So Tremor Video and Unruly will be the only place where you'll be able to access this data from the VIDAA operating system. Additionally, the fact that we have a proprietary ACR system means that we control the type of content and ads that are cataloged as part of the system. So what that means is, if you, an advertiser, have a specific show or specific advertisement that you want to retarget or measure against, and for some reason we haven't captured it, right, as part of our sort of overall out of the box solution, you can come to us and say, I want to add this ad, I want to add this piece of content. And because we own the entire system end to end, we can be really flexible and really nimble and add that piece of content or ad for you within a few days, and then you'd be able to do targeting or measurement against it. Lastly, this is available and will be available to our advertisers, right, as a holistic blended data set. So we will take the ACR data collected through the VIDAA OS and integrate it into our existing TV intelligence solution, which already includes cross-panel data as well as set-top box MVPD data. So what that gives our advertisers is a really robust, scalable data set that also has maximum audience representation. So when you work with a single OEM manufacturer or a single cable operator, right, you're inherently going to get an audience skew, whether it be based on geographic distribution, demographics, household income, or just a certain preference for a specific OEM type. Inherently, your data targeting and measurement strategies, right, will only be specific to that subset of an audience. But by blending disparate data sources, you ensure that you not only have maximum scale, but that you get maximum representation of a nationally representative audience. So now we'll talk a little bit about how this ACR system actually works and some of the technology that we've developed in order to be able to extract the data from the TVs. So the first step is Tremor International has built an SDK, which just stands for Software Development Kit. And that's really just a mechanism that allows us to take these fingerprints from the TVs. So the SDK is installed on Hisense OEMs that have the Android and VIDAA operating system installed on them. Once the SDK is deployed on the television, the user is taken through a brief consent management flow and given the option to opt into ACR tracking. So we'll talk about this a little bit more on the next slide, but no data collection is initiated until we have that opt-in from the consumer. So assuming that the user reads the disclosures and opts into the tracking, our SDK will initiate and it will start to capture audio fingerprints from the smart TV every 3 seconds that the television is turned on. And the reason why the every 3 seconds is important is because we want to make sure that we have a precise, consistent view of what's happening on that TV. So capturing a fingerprint every 3 seconds, make sure that we're not missing, right? If someone is going from one app to another, if they're watching live TV and one show, ends or one show starts, or perhaps they're watching broadcast content, and there's some sort of surprise broadcast event, news event happening, the SDK will continue to get sort of a real live picture of any type of content that's coming through the screen. Then we map that fingerprint to our catalog of content and ads, right? To actually understand, oh, this 3-second snippet was actually The Bachelor airing on ABC, right? So we continue to do that in real time. We continue to add new content and ads to our catalog to make sure that it's the most up to date so that we can consistently identify what's coming through the television. From there, we really marry the two. So we take the fingerprint and then we take the metadata associated to the content or the ad, and we bring them together so that we have a device identifier like a device ID and an IP address, as well as information about what was being viewed. And then that really is used as the infrastructure, right, to inform the TV viewership picture. We ingest that against the rest of our set-top box and panel data. We assign it a common household ID, which is the currency that we use for our TV retargeting and our measurement. And then from there, we're able to create TV viewership audience segments based on aggregated data from all of the different data sources. So now we'll just talk a little bit about privacy. Obviously, we understand that this is of growing importance to our clients. And it was very important to us to have a robust consent management framework here. So collection of ACR user data for targeting and measurement requires explicit opt-in from the consumer. So for legacy devices that are already in market, they'll get an operating system update. And then for new devices, upon initiation and activation of that television, that is when they will get these prompts. And so the user will be fed disclosures, right, about what is going to happen. It gives them the option to opt into the ACR targeting or the ACR data collection. And we tell them, we will use that data for the following reasons. Users can go into the TV settings and opt in or opt out at any time. So if they decide at first they don't want to opt in, but decide later, oh, I would like to receive the benefits, right, of having the data collected, they can do that. And something I think that's really unique that VIDAA is doing is it's really bundling the services under the ACR umbrella. So we're offering the user something called enhanced viewing services. And if they allow to ACR data being tracked and collected, not only will they receive targeted advertising, but they will also receive automatic adjustment of picture and audio quality, as well as content recommendations from VIDAA. So there really is a value exchange here for the consumer, and VIDAA will use that ACR data to really help refine and personalize the viewing experience for the consumer. So next, we'll just quickly touch on some of the specific capabilities, right, that we're getting through the ACR data collected on the VIDAA operating system. So from a high level, we are capturing both linear data and streaming data, content data, so meaning networks and shows, and then also ads. So from a linear perspective, we will capture all national broadcast coverage, as well as local affiliate coverage in the top 25 US DMAs and the top 170 US cable channels. But as I had mentioned before, if you have a need outside of this structure, it's something that we can react to and support relatively quickly. We're also capturing time-shifted viewing. So Again, as I've been kind of mentioning the whole time and talking about these shifts in how people are consuming content and watching TV, it's not just the shift right from linear to streaming, it's the shift from live to time shifted viewing. So, it's not as common anymore for people to sort of tune in right live when an exact show or program is airing. And so it's really important that any TV viewership partner you're working with has the mechanism to capture this time shifted viewing. So we'll capture not only just live viewing, but live plus save day, live plus 3 days, and live plus 7. And then we also allow our advertisers, right, to be able to do targeting based off those variables, as well as measurement. I see that there is a question in the question box, and yes, let me, I will touch on that in just a few slides. From an ads perspective on linear, we are capturing all broadcast and cable advertising across all DMAs. And then from a streaming perspective, we are capturing all original titles across all of the large streaming networks. And as VIDAA continues to strike new integrations and new partnerships with additional streaming apps, we will add those to our content category, our content catalog. And then addition, right, to ads that run on linear television, we'll also be able to capture ads that run in ad-supported content of these streaming apps. So that's really a trend we've seen lately, is some clients are advertising on linear as well as streaming, and we've actually seen some clients who are only advertising right now in these ad-supported streaming platforms and not on linear at all. And so here is sort of just the overall new capabilities that we'll be able to unlock with our ACR system. So the first is streaming content and ads. So again, the ability to target and do tune-in measurement against any type of content that airs only in a streaming environment, as well as any type of ad that airs in a streaming environment. We'll also be able to support video game capture in Q3. So for clients who are interested in targeting people who are video gamers or doing some sort of measurement against that. And then lastly, we'll be able to target, we'll be able to support real-time targeting. So because, like I had said, the nature of the ACR data collection is happening in real time or near real time, we'll be able to connect with audiences on their second screen as they're actually viewing that content. So now we'll talk just a little bit about the Tremor International TV intelligence solution and how we'll continue to bolster that with the addition of the ACR data. So this is the data source breakdown of our product. So as you can see, our product includes TV data from all of the major sources that exist in the market today. So set-top box data from 18 local and national cable providers across all 210 DMAs. Cross-screen panel data that uses both ACR and set-top box data, as well as now smart TV OEM ACR data. And so the question in the question box was, can you elaborate on how using blended data versus just ACR data makes for a more accurate representation of US viewers? And so if you think about how people, right, consume content and how people potentially purchase things like streaming services or smart TVs that allow them to consume this content. People who subscribe to, right, the same cable provider are going to have a similar composition, probably a similar geographic composition, perhaps similar demographic or income-based composition. If you look at people who buy the same smart TV OEM, so only people who buy Vizio TVs or only people who buy LG TVs, those people, right, are probably also going to have a similar composition, whether that be demographic, geographic, income-based, or something like that. So if you're only using single sources of data, whether it be a single set-top box or a single OEM from ACR data, you are inherently only going to be working with an audience, right, that has a skew towards that specific data type. So the value in this type of approach means that you're getting an audience, right, that is representative of all the different types of people in the US. So people who subscribe to cable, people who don't subscribe to cable, people who watch linear TV, people who only watch streaming services. And that is inherently going to give you access to a more diverse group of people. So again, diverse geographically, diverse from a demographic, income, race, ethnicity, etc. perspective. The other benefit to this approach, right, is scale. So when you're working with disparate data sources, you're going to be limited to the amount of TV viewership that exists within one of those categories. Blending them all together gives maximum scale and reach. So our footprint right now is 44 million US households, which we feel really strongly about is really one of the largest footprints for blended data sets in the market. And then next, we'll just talk about some targeting strategies. So one of the other really great benefits with our TV intelligence solution is it really supports near limitless customization of segments. But these are some of the top strategies that we see our clients take advantage of. So increasing their overall ad frequency by retargeting viewers who've been exposed to a TV ad on a digital platform, or the inverse of that, trying to drive incremental reach for their ad investment by targeting people who have not seen their ad on linear television. Competitive conquesting, so choosing a group of competitors, and again, that can be completely customizable, targeting people who've been exposed to that group of competitors' ads on television. Content retargeting, so retargeting viewers based on some sort of linear or streaming viewership based on a genre, a network, a television show. And we can get very granular there. We can do show level, season level, episode level, and even support specific duration levels of viewership. And then lastly is tentpole event alignment, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the real-time targeting. But again, being able to target people on their second screens as they're watching these sort of larger events like the Super Bowl, Grammy Awards, Masters, etc. And that gives you the advantage of kind of having that brand adjacency or association, but not actually potentially having to spend, right, those larger budgets that are necessary to have a linear ad in one of those environments. And then from a measurement perspective, we really do offer sort of a full funnel customized suite of measurement solutions to help validate the performance and efficacy both of linear advertising and TV advertising. So things that run the gamut from TV tune-in attribution and next day premiere insights for entertainment clients, TV reach and frequency analysis, incremental reach analysis for all types of clients. And then we also support outcome-based measurement. So looking at things like offline sales, website attribution, foot traffic attribution, and providing metrics around the efficacy of a linear TV budget as well as a digital ad campaign budget to help advertisers understand which mediums are driving better performance for them. And then lastly, this is really just an overall look at the core benefits of the TV intelligence solution. Like I had mentioned, extensive scale because we're blending all of these different data sets together. And we expect this household number to increase over time as we continue to deploy our SDK and more VIDAA powered smart TVs. Targeting precision, so the blended data, right, plus the exclusive ACR data gives us a scalable footprint to be able to support both one-to-one targeting and model targeting, depending on what your goals are based on accuracy or precision. Advanced customization, as I mentioned, we really can support near limitless customization of the type of targeting segments that you're looking for, and then that full suite of measurement solutions to help validate and verify the type of targeting that you're using. So I will stop here and I will give anyone else the option to ask any questions of me or Dennis. You can put your questions either in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we can take the rest of the time to answer any questions.
Well, all right. There are no other questions other than the one that we originally had in the session. Then I guess that's it. Thanks, Jessica and Dennis, for all of that great information. And we'll be contacting our lucky winner for the Hisense big screen TV with the VIDAA operating system. So be on the lookout for an email from us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Stay safe.